Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. Since the Blu-ray disc jailbreak for firmware 12.50 has just been released by Gezine, in this video I'm going to show you how to jailbreak your PS4 using this method. I'll walk you through each step in detail, making it perfect for those of you who are completely new to PS4 jailbreaking. Alright, without any further ado, let's jump right into the tutorial. Before we jump into the jailbreak steps, let me first explain a little bit about how this method works. As you can see here on this GitHub page, the creator of this jailbreak method is Gezine. In the README section, it's mentioned that this method can be used on PS4 consoles running firmware up to 12.50. However, even though it says 12.50, if we scroll down here, you'll see that the ability to activate the GoldHEN payload is only supported on firmware 9.00 through 12.02. This means that on firmware 12.50, you'll only get as far as userland access and not a full kernel exploit. Now, if we go down to the release content section, you'll see the methods available for jailbreaking. There are two options here. The first is using the file Lapse ISO. This is the simplest method. All you need to do is download the lapse.iso file, burn it onto a Blu-ray disc, and it's ready to use for jailbreaking all the way up to activating the GoldHEN payload. The second method is using remote jar loader ISO. This one is a bit more complicated because aside from using the Blu-ray disc, you'll also need a computer. Both the computer and the PS4 must be connected to the same network, and the computer will be used to send the payload over to the PS4. So as you can imagine, the second method is a bit of a hassle. For this tutorial, we'll be using the first method with Lapse ISO since it's the easiest option. Later, I'll show you the full jailbreak process step by step. All right, now let's move on to the preparation step. Alright, now let's create the jailbreak Blu-ray disc. First, click on the link in the release section here. Then scroll down a little bit and you'll see several files available to download. Since we're going with the first method I mentioned earlier, we only need to download Lapse ISO. The number you see next to the file is the version, which might be different for you if there's been an update released after this video was uploaded. Go ahead and click it to start the download. Next, we'll need an image burner or ISO burner application. There are plenty of options out there, such as free ISO burner or image burn. In this tutorial, I'll be using free ISO burner. If this is your first time jailbreaking your PS4, you'll also need the GoldHEN payload. Now that we've got the files ready, let's move on to installing the ISO burner app. The nice thing about free ISO burner is that it's portable, so you don't actually need to install it. Once it's ready, we'll burn the lapsed ISO file to a Blu-ray disc. A quick note about Blu-ray discs. Based on capacity, there are at least 4 types. For this process, we'll just use the smallest one, which is 25 gigabytes, since the ISO file we're burning is really small, only about 16 megabytes. Then, based on writability, Blu-ray discs also come in at least 3 types. The ones we can use are BDR or BDRE, since those are writable. The difference between BDR and BDRE is something you can read more about, but my recommendation is this. If you're using it for personal purposes, go with BDRE, because if there's ever an update to Lapse ISO, you can just reuse the same disc instead of buying a new one. But if you're making discs to sell or give away, then BDR is better since it's cheaper than BDRE. Once your Blu-ray disc is ready, insert it into your Blu-ray drive or writer. Open the ISO burner application. The steps might look a little different depending on which burner software you're using, but they're generally the same. Click Open, then select the lapsed ISO file we downloaded earlier. For the settings, I'll just leave everything at default, then click Burn to start the process. Since the ISO file is very small, this won't take long at all. Okay, that's done. Next, let's prepare a flash drive formatted as either exFAT or FAT32. Plug it into your computer, then copy the goldhen.bin file from the GoldHEN compressed archive. Rename that file to payload.bin. We'll need this to activate the jailbreak the very first time. Once the jailbreak process is complete and HEN is activated, you won't need it anymore for future jailbreaks. Alright, everything's ready. So we'll head over to the PS4 first and set up a few things before starting the jailbreak. These setups only need to be done once if this is your first time jailbreaking your PS4. First, make sure your PS4 firmware version is compatible with this jailbreak method. Like I mentioned earlier, this works on firmware 9.0 up to 12.02, at least as of the time I'm making this video. To check, go to Settings, System Information. Here, you can see my PS4 is on firmware 12.02. Next, let's clear out any notifications related to pending update downloads if there are any. Then we'll disable automatic downloads. To do that, go to Settings, System, Automatic Downloads, and uncheck all the boxes there. This is to make sure your PS4 doesn't automatically download or install firmware updates. After that, we'll disable the internet connection. Still under Settings, go to Network and uncheck Connect to the Internet. This serves the same purpose, preventing your PS4 from updating itself. Since we're going to be using a Blu-ray disc, we also need to enable HDCP so the disc can run. To do this, stay in Settings, go to System, scroll down to Enable HDCP, and make sure it's checked. All right, in my case, HDCP is already enabled, so we're good to go. Now let's move on to the next stage, which is the actual jailbreak process. Now plug the flash drive containing the GoldHEN payload into your PS4's USB port. This is required if it's your first time activating HEN. Next, insert the Blu-ray disc we just burned with the lapse.iso file into the PS4's Blu-ray tray. Wait a few moments until the Blu-ray disc icon appears. All right, here it is. Let's open it to start the jailbreak process. For those of you using a non-game Blu-ray disc for the first time, you'll see a message like this, asking you to connect your PS4 to the internet to enable the disc playback feature. So let's press back for now, then connect the PS4 to the internet by going to Settings, Network, and checking Connect to the Internet. Once connected, open the Blu-ray disc icon again. Select Yes. Then press back. And now the jailbreak process begins. As you can see here, on the first attempt, the jailbreak failed. We got a message saying address leaking failed, and it suggests rebooting the PS4 before trying the jailbreak again. So let's exit by pressing the PS button. Before restarting the PS4, make sure to disconnect it from the internet. And for those of you who successfully jailbreak on the first try, don't forget to also disconnect from the internet immediately once the jailbreak is done. Okay, let's restart the PS4. The console has powered back on, and since I didn't remove the Blu-ray disc, the icon is already showing up here. Let's run it again, and hopefully this time it works. Make sure the flash drive with the GoldHEN payload is still plugged into the PS4. Great. The GoldHEN payload has been successfully activated. Now press the PS button to exit. If you press the Options button on the Blu-ray disc icon, you'll see a few menu choices. The first thing you should do is select Close Application, or you can also choose Remove Disc to eject the Blu-ray disc right away since we won't need it anymore. And that's it! We've successfully jailbroken the PS4 and activated the GoldHEN payload. Alright guys, that wraps up today's tutorial on how to jailbreak your PS4 using the Blu-ray disc method on firmware up to 12.02. As you saw, the process can sometimes fail on the first try, but don't worry. Just reboot your console and try again, and it should work. Once GoldHEN is activated, you won't need to repeat the setup with the flash drive for future jailbreaks, making things much easier next time. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you won't miss any future updates or guide. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.